Good evening, Centre for Effective Living community. It's Valerie Ling, clinical psychologist, coming to you a little bit later than usual. In fact, I was actually just winding down for the evening when a thought actually popped into my mind that I thought, maybe I'll share this. It's a little bit, I suppose, more authentic because it's actually coming from an experience that I've had today. I've actually spent the whole of today with a group of psychologists, and I had a funny thought in my head as I was entering the room. I thought, boy, if there's going to be one supportive environment that you're going to find yourself in, it's going to be falling back into the fellowship and arms of a group of psychologists. And we got going, and I'm one of those people in a training room or in a classroom that sits like this, my arms crossed. I'll begin with being skeptical, and I'll be having lots of my own thoughts running into my head. And lo and behold, what happens is about, maybe 30 minutes or an hour into the course, the person who is training us, or who is taking us, gets us to do our first bit of self-disclosure. To actually say something about our psychology practice that I probably don't talk a lot about. I keep it quite close to myself. Privacy is probably something that I value quite a bit. But here I am in my own head thinking, okay, I've just told myself that if you're going to fall into the arms of any group of people, a room full of psychologists, this is going to be a soft landing, Valerie. This is going to be okay. Take a risk. Don't do one of your get into your own head and craft an answer so that it reduces your feelings of vulnerability or risk. Okay, so here we go. We're going around the room. The trainer's just straight out asking people, just share what it is that you think, or the question that was posed, and it comes to my turn. And I suppose I'm at that point where I say to myself, use all of your psychology to really get out of your own head, be mindful in the moment, with acceptance, don't make judgments or catastrophize, and I give my answer. And guess what? It was okay. It actually went well. Now, through the course of the day, lots of information coming at us and lots of dialogue, but there's a couple of things that I thought I would just share about that first jolt moment that I had today, and that's about taking risks. Taking calculated risks, though. I guess you have to know who's on your team, who have you got, and sometimes the people that you actually haven't really thought about. Now, this group of psychologists, we don't really know one another very well, but the contexts that we have met each other. There's been lots of great evidence and that they are supportive and they won't criticize and they're there to listen. So the first thing I'm going to say is we can actually, in a resilient mindset or resilient posture, actually encourage ourselves to take a risk and actually reach out to our support networks and actually just be able to share information that is authentic to what we're experiencing or what we're going through. So number one, take a risk and share. Number two, as the day progressed, I started to realize that the more that we actually shared with one another from an authentic space, the more we had a lot of things in common. So contrary to what, I don't know whether you think this, psychologists don't have it all together. We actually don't have all the answers. We're human beings as well. Our training profession didn't come with a crystal ball and a training manual for what we're going to do in our own personal lives. So the second thing I realized is that the more that we were willing to be authentic and take a risk, the more we were encouraging one another to share. And the more we did that, the more I actually realized I have a lot more in common with the people in this room than I thought. So that was the second thing that I learned. Sharing encourages sharing, and you might surprise yourself that you actually have more in common with someone than you thought. And the last thing I'm going to say is that towards the end of the training, we're all tired and we're still absorbing the material because it's all really good material. And the question comes at the end, what are we going to do after this? What's the sort of evening that you're going to have? And I kid you not, I really thought that after 9 hours of training, I was actually going to come back into my room and keep going, right? Like, I'm not wasting any more time. I'm going to implement. I'm going to do all my action stuff now. Is that a resilient posture? Not really. It's Saturday. I've just had 9 hours of training. I haven't eaten. I haven't had any exercise. And the thought occurred to me that, what, isn't this what everybody else is doing? You're not all going back to your rooms to, like, hone into the material. And just the end conversations were an encouragement. People were sort of going to do this or going to do that. And the message was, hey, let's take it easy. We've had a big day. Let's actually take some time out to really process and take care of ourselves. And so the third thing I wanted to say about taking a risk and reaching out to a community or to people whom you feel comfortable with and safe with and trust, is that they can actually really give us some great feedback and moderate us and actually help us to see that being kind to ourselves and being realistic and taking that time out to slow down, recharge, recuperate is a really valuable thing. So I'm going to finish that and actually take some of that in myself and spend some time this evening just recovering, reflecting, recuperating, and really just appreciating the group of great people that I've been around today and being very grateful for that. Okay, good night.